Thank you, Dr. Vinay Joyce, for a very liberal and a complimentary introduction of mine. And I've recently moved out of the IPS on voluntary retirement, and I intend to create my own technology consultancy aggregator company. So we are in the midst of creating the whole of the framework for this particular company. So I'm extremely thankful to you for having invited me to give a lecture on online safety and cyber ethics or computer ethics, whatever you call it. And I would place on record that I think for the last 3 years or 4 years, this Sujayanti College was trying to invite me for a lecture there. Unfortunately, I has not been able to make it. I'm extremely sorry for that. And finally, today we meet on the online mode. So as we start with the lecture, we'll just go into the slide share and then I'll continue with my. So we'll start with the topic of the day, that is online safety and computer ethics. I think the topic of human rights was proposed to me, and I was as a part of the Karnataka Human Rights Commission, so I agreed to deliver that lecture. I have delivered human rights lectures many times, inclusive of one lecture we had for a book called Human Rights by one of the very renowned jurists in this country, organized by Bharati Vidya. So that was a couple of years back when I said I'm both a practitioner and a victim of human rights. Practitioner as a police officer and as a victim, I worked in a place called Sudan. And Sudan, the best water which we got was beyond the expiry date. So that is the mineral water which we drank. And there are lots and lots of diseases like yellow fever and malaria and all that which we face on a regular basis and the threat to our life. So that is how I say that I'm both a practitioner and a victim of human rights. Nonetheless, that is not the topic of the day today. We move on to online safety and computer ethics. Online safety is extremely important in post-COVID-19 world. I think even before that, online safety was important, it was precarious as well. But in the present day world, I think literally when there has been a digital transformation, when your home and your computer and your very precarious, delicate and insecure link which you have in your place is called Wi-Fi. So you have made that your world, and your work, your education, your financial transaction, fun, frolic, entertainment, even marriages and tours, everything has come on to this particular screen on which you are watching me. So you're always at risk, and only you can change your security stance. However much we teach you, however much time we give you, it is something like which you have to pick up yourself unless you're thrown in the swimming or in the pool itself, the river, you will not realize what to do and how to not proper sound is coming. So all these places you have some IT fellows, so they provide you all the support. But when you hack there, there's nobody. So we were hacked, and just because we had some capability, we were able to put back the website in precisely 4 hours, and we were comfortable as to what we were doing. Our mirror imaging was in place. There was a system by which we could check the whole thing. We can put this particular website on dormant and start a new website, which was the skeletal services which it did. Now, presently, what I'm finding that large number of people, I have students, I have companies, and lots of people who interact with on a regular basis. They don't have any technical capabilities and don't have any intention to learn those technical capabilities. I, for one, I'm not an engineer. I'm a history postgraduate. From there, we picked up everything, and we are where we are. So you can change the security scenario and your comfort level and your capability by the security stance which you create. For one, I started somewhere around 2000, 2008. I never had a role model, and that particular time around 44, 45 years away, I was struggling with the police IT ecosystem, or I was struggling with the police projects. At that particular point in time, while reading about Steve Jobs, I realized that he has gone through the similar thing, or I was going through a similar experience. And when we read about the whole thing, we realized that until we control the ecosystem, until every single component of the digital ecosystem is under your control, you will not be able to run the system properly. Lots of times we have different people who run our data center, who run our services. We don't even know how to check our bandwidth. If you don't know how to check your bandwidth, how do you know at what bandwidth you will feel comfortable or whether you are getting the right services? So without getting into computer or online safety, what I'm saying is understand ecosystem will not be in there is or in cyber security. and there is nobody who can plug in all the requirements in a customized level to your requirements. Only you know your requirements, only you know your ecosystem, you know whom to interact, whether you are on this mode or that mode or whatever computer system, you get into email, you get into a social media. So only that is online. So that's not the case. Online today has become a whole lot of things. Basically, your life has become online. And it's very difficult to say what is cyber and what is physical. So cyber physical has slowly got merged. And what we call the cyber physical is the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Or in the industry parlance, we call it Industry 4.0. So it's very difficult to differentiate where your money is getting hacked, or it is transferred illegally to somebody else's account, or it is stolen. Whether you call it physical or you call it cyber, it is left to you. In the very same manner, as we move further, literally anything and everything will become data. Data is the new oil, and artificial intelligence is the new electricity. So when everything becomes data, so everything becomes exploitable. Everything can be hacked, everything can be sold. Data brokers are there. There are people who deal only with data, and there are big companies, even like say Google or Facebook, any of these companies, they take your data, exploit your data. The owner does not know the data, and they monetize the data in a manner which is unimaginable. Most of you would have heard of the Facebook and your Cambridge Analytica story, where nearly, I think, 87 million users' data was handed over to Cambridge Analytica to do research, and that research particularly was used for nefarious activities in the US elections 2016. So as we move further, not getting into much of theoretical details, we will just get to as to how you can practice online safety, which is extremely important for your existence. Today, nobody can deny that without cyber security, their existence will become next to impossible. We are seeing Zoom bombing day in and day out. I had a call from one of the principals here in Bangalore only that while the Zoom classes was on. So somebody went in and there was some porn material put like that. We have been getting complaints and again. And so many friends of mine. So they have been getting letters or they have been getting emails from large number of agencies where they have picked up data, they have picked up their email ID, they have picked up most of the password or their earlier password, and that they are sending, asking for payment. So that's become a very regular feature. So this phone which we had in the earlier days, and we knew that was the only system which entered into your house. So the call comes inside your house, and you decide to send back the call or respond to that particular call. But things have completely changed, and we don't know. Presently, we are talking about home. So at home, it's not the home alone story. So earlier, the home alone story was that you had one particular gadget, and that was the phone. That was your only connection with the outside world. Now the world has completely changed. Cyber security threat could be coming from inside the house, and unfortunately, most of the cyber security threats come from inside the house because of your insecure connected device, your configuration, your incapability to handle the gadgets which you own, and your incapability to even understand the insecure ecosystem in which all of us live. We don't know where the servers are located. We don't know where we are getting connected, but in an urgency to fulfill our official and personal task and also entertainment, fun and frolic, we finally land into a problem which is certainly of our making, but we believe that it is not of our making. So by protecting your home network, you limit your device's exposure to all. Let's accept one fact, that this online world, they are marauders, they are criminals, they are hackers, they are literally espionage guys, spies, things like hacking groups, activists. They're literally everybody is there. Even in a country like US and the National Security Agency. So that has been hacked over and over again. All of us would have heard about the Edward Snowden story, and before that Julius Assange and Assange, Julian Assange and all their story. And we know where we are and how we are. And we are not able to react. See what has happened with cybersecurity or cyber safety, whatever you call it, that we have been giving lip service to this whole thing. And by giving lip service, we have reached a level where we have reached today. And in COVID-19 situation, it's the WHO officials, there are people who are connected to the government in health administration, health intelligence fellow. They are getting hacked over and over again. And why they are getting hacked? Because people are trying to find out as to what is the real story, how this whole thing happened. And that is how these hacks happened. So every hack is having a context. And earlier it was the very beginning, it was just out of curiosity. From curiosity, it came to money, it came to espionage, and finally, national security is a threat. And in the process, if your security is also a threat, so nobody is bothered about it. So this is where we actually are. So by protecting your home, you limit the device's exposure. And how do you protect it? How do you protect it? Is by using encryption, a strong password, and a firewall. These are the things which cannot be taught right here in a lecture of this nature for 1 hour. But these are the things which you have to pick up on your own. Now, if I tell you the password should be like this or encryption, I think most of our gadgets have encryption. But those encryption is not by default. You have to get into the settings, you have to enable that encryption, and only then you will be able to use that encryption. And you should know what you are doing with that encryption, and you should know how to handle that encryption. So sometimes what happens is the old car sort of a thing, so you don't go for maintenance. And at one particular point in time where you have to escape from somewhere, and you come to the car and you put the ignition on and the car doesn't get switched on, and you realize that it was serviced some few months back or a few years back, and there is nothing much which can be done about it. So to maintain your devices and apps, you are not stuck in a sticky situation. So you have to maintain your devices, you have to maintain your apps so that you don't get stuck up in a situation which is sticky. Sticky situation means that you are already in that situation and you don't know how to come out. There's a very, very pathetic sort of a thing. If somebody gets into your computer network and your camera is on and that fellow is recording as to what you are doing, it might be good, bad, ugly, whatever, and you don't know how to switch it off. So that fellow has taken control of your whole device and you are literally stuck up in a situation where you don't know how to even retrace your steps. And you very desperately try to somehow switch off the computer, and might be that computer doesn't get off because that is also controlled by somebody who is on the outside. So there are also update features. So auto update features are there in most of the devices today. But even with the auto update features, sometimes it asks your concurrence because might be you'll be busy in some time, and that particular 1 hour or half an hour where the update is required. So that particular point in time, whether you have that time or not, so you will have to make that time available for your own safety. It's generally thought that all these updates, all these patch management, version control, these are something flimsy in nature because we have bought computers like a machine. We have bought computers as a gadget, and that computer is a whole machine for us. Whereas necessarily that is not the case. It's your software, it's your application, there are lots and lots of other things. It cannot be used as a lamp. It cannot be used as a tube light. It cannot be used as a fan. You have to understand the intricacies of the whole exercise. And until you don't understand, it will be very difficult for you to use those particular things in a manner it should be used. So no system is perfectly secure, and security vulnerabilities are always being discovered and fixed with updates. So security vulnerabilities are found by security researchers. It is found by hackers. There are big bounty programs, bug bounty programs where you put the researchers on the job, they will tell you what is wrong with that. And at that particular point in time, the concerned company works on it, it releases a patch, and it is your job to update that particular patch or do the patch management. We are working right now, or I'm delivering a lecture right now on a software called Zoom. And Zoom had lots of vulnerabilities which have been talked about, and there was also advisory from Government of India stating that Zoom should not be used or Zoom is not secure. And Zoom got all these feedback, might be not only from Government of India, it might be from all across the world. And finally, they are working on different sort of patches, and they are saying by 30th of May, we will come up with Zoom version 5, and Zoom version 5 will take care of most of the things which is in question today as far as the vulnerability of the Zoom particular software is concerned. So anything that is connected to the internet, from your light bulbs to your thermostat, should be updated. Literally everything is a computer. You yourself are a part of a big computer system. And for that particular reason, you should use the latest of that particular software and that particular app, or you will miss out on the security issues which has been patched up by that particular patch. So this is the whole story. So we have to understand the ecosystem, and that is why I thought that I will narrate the whole story through some concepts, through some pictures, and around that I'll view the whole story so that you understand. So what is the home ecosystem? What is your gadget ecosystem? Where we are? Who is trying to hack us? How do we can update ourselves, and how we should feel comfortable? So until and unless the whole ecosystem is under your control, whether it's your computer, whether it's your app, whether it is software, whether it is your network, whether it is your router, how many of us know how to configure a router? So some Wi-Fi comes, somebody puts something, and that is the end of the story. So build a strong barricade. Can in the physical thing, and I being from the police. So anywhere if there's a physical barricade we put, the first thing what we do that it should be a very strong barricade. But here the picture which you see, so that is the nature of barricade which we have created, and that nature of barricade will never be sufficient enough. Will never be sufficient enough to take care of the requirements which we have. So you should try to secure a door with a flimsy furniture. So naturally there will be a problem. Anybody can barge in. So anybody can tweak. There is permutation. Will bring forth the weak passwords. So there is a password. So there is a password. We said, let me in. And the beauty of the whole story is that even I've been lecturing for the last 5 years, and I finally realized that even with so much of lecture and lots of people across the globe who have been giving this, and today also the most popular password happens to be password followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is our commitment to security. This is our commitment, our own security. We are not going to bring forth any cyber security to the world by our efforts. We will only try and make ourselves more secure. So if somebody can figure out your password, he can access your data. You might be a very heavily encrypted system, but if he has figured out your password, he is there in your system, he is there as Sanjay Sai, he is there as Dr. Vinay, then there is absolutely no issue. There is no need to get into any other detail. So strong password is very important. And they keep telling you that the password should be this many numericals, this many letters, this many numbers, this many other features. So all these things we have to follow and to turn to two-factor authentication. I still don't know as to how many of us dutifully follow the two-factor authentication. How many of us do not use the same password for different purposes? And how many of us use a password manager? Or how many of us teach these same things to our children, to our students, to our friends? And do we ever have, see, if you organize a social function, if you organize anything, there are very standard procedures by which you do it. But when you are actually trading your life day in and day out, you're trading your money, you're trading your sentiments, then you're not going into two-factor authentication. And that literally dangerous. Facebook, by your 64 likes, it knows what you are. For 200 likes, it might know more than your friends and lots of other people. And beyond 300 likes, it also knows that you are known to Facebook much more than you know yourself, and much more, even more than your spouse knows. So taking these steps, it makes it harder for bad guys to access your data. There's absolutely nothing which will make you fully secure. It is a battle of attrition. And in this battle of attrition, you always have to be on your toes. You have to feel that you have guarded yourself, and you should only use such apps and such procedures, such gadgets you are comfortable with. You should never cross that limit to get into the area of the unknown, the untrodden, where you need a regular help by somebody. And when if you land into some problem, you will not be able to get out of that problem. Suffice to say that most of the great technologies, they have also landed in these issues for the simple reason that they thought that they're beyond this technology, and they thought that the new completeness of this technology, which is not the case. I think once even FBI director's email was hacked. National Security Agency have been hacked over and over again. And that has been the fate with lots and lots of people. So getting hacked is the new normal. How we survive that hack, how resilient we are, how fast we can come back to the system. And for the people who run the enterprises, inclusive of college management and the like, how fast you can bring the system back, at least at a skeletal level, at least at a degraded level, that you don't become a butt of ridicule. So that is precisely what you intend to do. And this whole outsourcing business will not take us anywhere. Even our own systems, we have brought in outsource mode. and anything happens, we just try to get somebody, and that somebody might be another hacker. Who knows? He might be somebody who either he is ignorant or he might also be a player in the same game, and both are equally dangerous to you. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to drive home, that your cyber security is of your making. You are forced today in the post-COVID-19 world, where literally anything and everything is happening only on the cyber, is only happening on the computer system. So in this particular circumstances, you don't have a choice. You have to pick up. I didn't have a choice. I picked up, and over a period of time, I become an expert on this. So that is a different story. But at least for our requirement, we need to pick it up. So a very interesting story of this Sony Pictures. I think Sony Pictures was hacked in 2014, and this was third or the fourth organization of Sony company which was hacked. Now, lo and behold, and they are following all procedures. You talk to any company, any organization, any school, any management, they say we are perfect in security, we have put firewall, we have done this, we have done that, and lots of issues, and they'll give you a feeling that everything is secure everything gets hacked. So Sony Pictures was the fourth organization of that particular company which was getting hacked. And after these guys get into the system in the server, lo and behold, what they realize is that there is an Excel sheet which has 63 passwords, which is in plain text. So somebody who is coming to outside of your house to pluck some flower or to do some small damage, so you go and call him, come inside the house, and there is gold and diamond and platinum in my house, and you take everything away. And after those 63 passwords, Sony Pictures, instead of releasing a picture every Tuesday, it was the hackers in North Korea, mostly Lazarus. They were releasing a picture every single day. So today, computer security, cyber security is used for literally anything and everything, and to fulfill political goals, fulfill economic goals, to fulfill any goal. There is another thing which can happen through your computer, and that they call as a distributed denial of service attack. So where they get into your computer, they use the computational power of your computer through Internet of Things or without Internet of Things on a single device, and they use that computational power to stop the service of very big companies or services which are very, very important. It can be a governmental service, it can be a private service, it can be service of any time. Broadly, when we get into the books, what do? We see the cover page, or we don't even touch that. It's dusty. Most of you are coming from the academic background, so it's also more reason for me to give you this example. So broadly, you don't know what is there in the book, and you don't know the wisdom of that book. You don't know what that book can teach you. Certainly, we have that book, and that is a very fanciful thing that you have the book and things go on like that. So mindlessly, we keep that book more than a page. So the mindlessly scrolling. So what do? We are on the internet. What happens? So something we are scrolling and something comes and it says to accept or click or whatever the case may be. We don't do the privacy policies. Okay, so somewhere I saw that mute thing in between, so I thought I would cross-check with you. So when we are armed with information, we can make smarter choices. See, all of you believe that in a data-driven world, it's information and data which propel our existence, which decide our existence, which also decide the quality of our existence. So until and unless we have this information, how well can we secure ourselves so that all of you can decide and all of you know? So basically what we are trying to do is, without understanding, without the information, without the data, without the analysis, without the correlation, without the capability to predict how things are happening, we have got into this field. So until unless we are clear about what we accept, what permissions we give, what privacy settings should be, it will be a very uphill task. I'm not denying the fact that there might be situations, or there are situations where IT behemoths are still using the metadata or might be the whole data, because that is how we get our autocomplete, or whichever manner they do. This data is being used for purposes much more extraneous to what we have accepted. But that is primarily, I presume, in the commercial, in the monetization domain. And that particular data, to best of my faith, will not be used against you. But if there are hackers who are able to get this data, then things will be. So that until we know what data we are, see, we are the final owners of the data. And only recently there was a Supreme Court judgment which said that right to privacy is a fundamental right. So it is already agreed and accepted, and most part of the world it is taken as a fundamental right. What fundamental right entails to you that you are owner of your data and nobody without your consent can transact upon that data for any particular purpose. But unfortunately, we have been giving that consent. And just because we are giving that consent, so we cannot deny that we have not been a party to this. Seemingly ordinary objects can hide secret. We feel that most of these things cannot be hidden. So we can see a credit card, we can see a transaction being done. So from even a credit card and a smart TV, so there are lots and lots of risk. One is the risk, and there is lots of data. You have Alexas in homes, you have Google Homes, you have Siri, and lots and lots of things which is rightly there, and which can, even when you are not interacting, from the ambient sound and might be lighting or lots of other things, they are able to give information which can be very critical to you. Even a single picture on Facebook, the total amount of data which is there, that can help, I think, best to the criminals or even the terrorists can get into your home, can decide as to what to do with your data, what to do with you in a cyber physical world. I think there was a very recent case of some burglar getting into a house, and he committed the burglary, and peacefully he was sitting there and having some food or something. In the meantime, I think the cops or something, without knowing anything about it, they were just passing by and they thought this house to be open. They came inside and they caught the burglar. When the burglar was asked as to how you are so comfortable after committing the burglary, he said, I have seen on the Facebook that they will come only after 5 days. So he was extremely comfortable that there is nobody able to come. So this is 1 in a million chance that a burglar is caught by this nature. So, but we can protect ourselves from these ordinary objects by using encryption. I don't know how many of you are familiar with encryption, and there are lots and lots of cases across the face of this earth where encryptions have been used both to cover what has happened or to uncover what has already happened. And there's a very famous San Bernardino case in US where 14 people were killed, and I think 8 or some number of people got injured. And that was the iPhone 5, and nobody was able to decrypt it. Apple refused because the privacy issues were involved, and there's a company called Cellbrite from Israel, which was able to do some circus, and they were able to retrieve that data, writing some script. Suffice to say that after 1 month or in a span of less than a month, even Cellbrite was hacked. And after that, whether the script was stolen, not stolen, we have absolutely no idea. But this is where we stand. There is another case of Jamal Khashoggi. So Jamal Khashoggi was a journalist. So he was killed. And when he was killed, the main information came from his friend who was using a smartphone on which there is a software called Pegasus. So that Pegasus software used the Israeli software from a company called NSO. And even if you don't take the call, it gets into your system and start passing on information. There are large number of tools wherein the information passes through the back door. So that becomes a huge challenge. Most of your apps, now what do you do with app? Whatever app you get, you download. There are a large number of, I think the other day we were saying about Truecaller. So there are nearly 4.5 crores of user data has been compromised. So please don't go by the name that it is app which is famous, and just because the app is famous, nothing wrong will happen. At the back end, what is happening, none of us know. Even in 9/11 investigation, so they had to get into the data brokers who were able to give passenger manifest of 1 or 2 of these flights, and that is how investigation went on. These were the flights which finally created that whole sort of a ruckus that particular morning in the US on the 11th of September. So don't turn it on default. So some devices and services have the capability to use encryption. But most of these gadgets or most of the softwares which have the capability to use encryption, so they don't work on default. So it is your job to find out and your job to take care of yourself. The problem with us is that we are in so much of a hurry that we don't have time to find out as to what our gadgets are doing and what we are making out of those particular. We know the technical specifications, we know the level of connectivity, we literally know all that, but we don't know how to use that. So you know how much RAM is there, how much storage is there. Literally everything, what is your level of connectivity, with Wi-Fi. So you know everything, but you are not trying and to understand what the software you're using and the web apps you're using. And you can also switch on to encrypt systems which are completely encrypted. So that is a call which you are supposed to take, and slowly you will realize that life for you becomes much more simpler after you make that particular exercise to decide as to what to do, in which manner to do, and literally anything and everything is available on the internet. So once you learn the trick of learning through the internet and make your life more easy in from the safety point of view, your life certainly becomes easier, and you are able not to take care of yourself, to take care of the people who are all around you. So you will not believe that most of the ISIS recruitment has happened through these encrypted relay chats. Most of this, I think, has happened through the encrypted relay chats. And that is how this whole of the ISIS recruitment took place. And that has changed the face of the whole terrorist scenario in this world. Denial is a good way to get yourself in trouble. So, so many times we deny that there is something wrong which is happening. The person refuses to believe that there is any danger. The one who ignores the tapping on the window is the first guy who will land into a problem. So like this boys' locker room, this incident we have heard, and we know youngsters are getting into this trade. And boys' locker room might be is one particular group which has come out in the open. I have serious reasons to believe that there are lots and lots of such groups who are getting into nefarious activities. But we as parents might we have decided to believe that none of those things are happening. It can happen to you, it can happen to your child, it can happen to anybody. And it's not only a sex, phone-related affair, it can be drugs, it can be anything. Life is so simple, so easy, and so covered in the digital arena that you will not realize till the time you have been hit, and you have been hit hard. So by taking steps to protect your security and privacy, you can become the hero of your own film. So this whole film, your life's film, which is being enacted today on the digital medium for which we were not very familiar. At least the present generation is familiar, but the present generation is reckless. The present generation does not know what to put on the social media, what not to put on the social media. If you get into Instagram, you realize what is the nature of material which is coming in and how that can be used. So finally, there was on. So generally, what happens that we have that audacity. We know this to that situation. The other day, I said, "What is that? I'll take care of bravado, and that bravado can go completely against you. So there is absolutely no reason, absolutely no way out that we keep continuing with the same behavior as a day in the digital world. Because in the digital world, you don't know what is there in front of you. You don't know how far you'll go and how much you'll get stuck up. There's a girl who has been telling me a story for last 2 years. So she's getting manipulated. So, and you make one step, and there is somebody who was talking on Instagram. So he wanted to help me out that he has not done anything wrong, and they made a family group. And that family group, something has been put, and some 10-15 people they deleted and all that. When I put him to another expert who actually does the cyber forensics part of it, so he came back to me and he told me that actually the situation is that there are some honeypot sort of a exercise which was done by on Instagram. He fell for that, and whatever finally transpired. So that is creating this whole lot of problems. So you are in a company, and then the same company, it gets extrapolated into the digital world. And in the digital world, with that congenial company, there are lots of other people also come. There's somebody who was sharing some indecent sort of a picture, and then the other fellow asked him that you're sharing with these people, are you sure that it will not go one step further? So he said, no, they're my friends, they will not do. So the next question was, how many of these friends you know well? And barely he knew not even 10-20% of these people well. So your security is not only related, you might be the best secure person You might understand security, you might follow security, you might put your energy, you could put in your effort and make your system completely secure. But what happened? Those 170 friends, 500 friends, 5,000 friends. So if they are in an insecure system, if they don't follow the values which you follow, if they don't get into privacy and confidentiality or the ownership of data concept, or that it is shared only to that particular group and no other group. We see information leaking out of WhatsApp groups on a day in and day out. And most of the material which comes out in the normal electronic and print public domain comes out of the WhatsApp. Today, social media is the number one creator of content. It is not electronic media and it's not print media. And when Julian Assange, the first lot, came out in the public, they said that they have come up with that particular whole load of tons of documents, which is much more than the complete print media and electronic media combined in that particular year. So this is the capability of the digital medium. It can completely demolish you within seconds, within minutes. And whatever claims any of these social media companies or any of these companies make, please don't go by that, because those claims are untested, unverified, unvalidated, and even if those technologies are there, whether those technologies are being used for your favor or the technology is being used for somebody else's favor. There was a great case in Washington, D.C. So two phones were taken. So one phone, it was switched off, other phone, the SIM card was taken away. And they went for, I think, a 10-mile expedition of Washington, D.C. So after the end of that expedition, they came back. So one phone was switched on, the other phone switched on, the other phone SIM card was put, and both phones got activated. And within 5 minutes, all the information of supposedly these closed phones were sent to the Google servers. And nearly both the information was nearly identical of going to 132 places, these many tasks, these many activities. One single click of Google creates nearly 7 sets of data. So, and please read. If you don't read, you will not know. Without reading, you will not know. So students and the teachers and the managements have got into a habit today where they don't read. Reading is antithetical to human existence. So that is the thought process which we have. So you get into the digital untrodden arena, and after moving for say 10 feet, 20 feet, something, you reach to an area, it might be very fanciful, but then you don't know how to get it. It might also happen that whatever has transpired there, you will not even share with your friends. So when there is no guide, there is nobody to support you, there is no professional fellow, you are stuck up in a situation. So these are the situations with the digital worlds provide, which is not there. Mostly it's not there in the physical world. And if you get into the bad scenario of both the physical and the digital world, might be some blue movie getting recorded or something wrong which has happened to you. So that will be the worst situation. So you cannot be a lone ranger. Even the security researchers, they are not lone rangers. So this is the whole gamut of things which you face with regards to cyber safety. Cyber safety, cyber security, social media, your official work, your personal interactions, your Wi-Fi, your gadget, your software, your app, your network, your connectivity, and also further to the cloud. Even iCloud was hacked once, and nude photographs of lots of Hollywood personalities were there. So we don't know where it will fan out, how it will fan out. There are also applications, there are also software where they say that your picture will be deleted in 5 seconds or 10 seconds. And one of these apps, I think, ended up with selling nearly 2 billion photographs. As I told you earlier, most of the recruitment of ISIS was done through the digital mode, through the social media, and they used to get into the fact as to what has been the interaction on the social media of that particular person or that particular young girl. So lots of girls also became jihadis, and they were the people who were born in Europe. So those girls born in Europe come through the European culture, and they don't have any of those conventional traditional culture and that sort of inclination with these jihadis have. But over a period of 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and they give the nature of a training which they imparted, and because of that training, they all got recruited. They became jihadis. In them was created feelings and stuff which you could have never imagined of. And anybody who is a loner, well, then they have ways and means to find out. There are psychological tests which they run, and they are basically counselors for a wrong game. So the main attributes for joining ISIS was status seeking, identity seeking, revenge, redemption, thrill, theology, and lots of other things. So between 2014 to some 46,000 to 90,000 ISIS. So this is how the whole thing has happened. And if you talk of the capability of the government or the companies to take care of all these nefarious activities, I think even today we are not a match to organizations, nefarious organizations like ISIS and things of that nature, like Anonymous. Anonymous was able to disable nearly 800 handles of Twitter, which no government and no intelligence agency was able to do that at that particular point in time. And their capability to understand the social media, do research on the media, put the nature of pictures, put the nature of videos. There was some killer John, if you remember correctly. All those, and they have a capability to bring them to a level, to radicalize these people to a level, that they become lone wolves. So this is the ultimate strategy that the terrorist organization has nothing to do. They radicalize them either through internet relay chats or radicalize them through lots of social media, other social media activities. And finally, these people do whatever they are supposed to do. So this is the boys' locker room, and is a pretty famous case of recent times. I think there were 22 members of this group. Out of that, only two were adults, and the other 18 or 19, they were, I think, 13 to 16 or 17 years of age. And these people were basically trading in nude photograph and other lewd sort of things about their friends, about their classmates. And it was a very, very dangerous or worse, that sort of an environment which has been created. And I keep on repeating, might be, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Things of this nature would be happening in lots and lots of other groups, and lots of groups would have been created for this purpose only. So this investigation was done by Delhi police, and the concerned were arrested. But whether the psychological frame of mind or this sort of anonymity, or a platform which is capable enough to bring people with very perverse mind to the extent that they even talk about gang rape. So whether that can be stopped, stalled. So it is, see, cyber safety is not one isolated problem which can be attacked or tracked, controlled, or surveilled. Cyber safety has become a very integral part of our existence, and literally anything and everything which we do, we have started doing through that medium. Our only method of expression, and more so intimate expression, is the digital world today. And COVID-19 has accentuated this problem even further. Cyber crimes have certainly increased during the COVID-19 times, and it is very natural that this will increase when 24/7 literally anybody and everybody who has the facility is using this particular thing, which was made of solely for the purpose of sharing photos of girls, passing disgusting comments about them, and talking about their private photos and sharing them. And these are the people who are friends to them. These are not people who are outsiders. These are not people who actually would feel ill of them. So the whole issue is, are you comfortable with the social media? The whole issue is, are you comfortable with the social media? And for one, I would say that I'm not comfortable with social media to the extent to completely open up my privacy, put myself as I am on the social media, allow people the capability to pick up my particular threads, activities, and digital footprints, and then decide my character and my capability as to who I am, where do I belong, and what I intend to do. So anybody who is completely comfortable with the social media is not understanding the risk of this particular medium. As in case of any other medium, and more so the social media, because of the capability to literally burst through the seams, it is better and it is advisable to use it in a limited manner for precisely the purposes for which it is meant. And if you go anything ahead of that, if you go across board, there are chances that you will land up into very, very serious situations. And that is the case in cyberbullying, cyber stalking, getting into relationship, getting out of it, and finally you don't know what is happening, and you put huge amount of time in social media rather than your own work. And social media addiction Now, the cyber safety is not only limited to what is your stance is there in the cyber world. It is also very greatly connected to as to how much of time you put. And the more time you put on the social media, it gives a very clear-cut understanding to anybody who understands social media, understands human psychology, understands the next generation, and even understand people who have crossed that particular age, is that you have gone wayward, you are getting into things which are not desirable, and that social media has finally taken you over and you are out of the normal physical world. It is an echo chamber. They keep saying that if you can't face the world, Facebook. So that is where the reality is. You lose the capability to concentrate. You lose the capability to focus. You lose the capability to achieve your target, to achieve your goal. You cannot sit on a chair and a table for 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours and keep continuously doing your work. So your level of clarity, your level of focus, your level of hard work, your level of earnestness, I think everything gets there. Social media is actually, it is a commercial product. It has nothing to do with social stuff. You can call it an anti-social media. This was created by Mark Zuckerberg to follow his ex-girlfriend, and over a period of time, it has become a commodity which everybody is relishing. So that particular commodity is a commercial product, and it has been mathematically created. It has been mathematically created that every single interaction of yours is documented, it is stored there, and then that can be used for lots and lots of other things. And because of this humongous data which is created there and which is owned only by that particular company, and it basically entails 1 million, 2 million of the world population. So that gives them unassailable power and influence for that particular business enterprise through de facto. You have to understand de facto. De facto means as a matter of fact, in reality. And de jure is by law. So de jure owner is you, and de facto owner is that IT behemoth or that big social media company, which is basically owning whatever it's owning and getting into billions and millions and hundreds of billions of rupees and hundreds of billions of dollars and gaining unassailable power in this world. If you can't face the world, Facebook. So that is the whole concept. So it's a social media bubble. So you get into one group, you get into another group, you get into similar group, and then you start feeling that you are the hero of the world. And more you get into, you keep getting into that, and that slowly becomes your world. And it's a very filtered life. We feel it's the real world. So whatever good, bad, and ugly we do, people comment on that. We know something gone wrong. Somebody will chide us, somebody will scold us, somebody will put into tricky situations. Sometimes we land into embarrassing situations. So lots of these things. So these are correctional mechanisms of human existence. When these correctional mechanisms of human existence are done away with through the social media, what we call as a filtered life. So everything is very fanciful, everything is very rosy. Even if you are in a bad mood, if you are not in a bad mood, you say, today I am in a bad mood. I think what is there to declare to the world, nobody is going to come. Last year I held a small conference in St. Joseph's College on disruptive technology. And I got tons and tons of people who said, I have 10,000 followers, I have 20,000 followers. And at the end of the day, not even one of those followers come. So this is a make-believe world. If you want to live in the make-believe world, so it be. And today, every single calculation for publicity, for influence, for this, that, lots of other things is happening based on the number of followers you have. You become an influencer, you become whatnot. So this is also echo chamber. So whatever you do, that gets echoed because the people who are around you, they are the people with same taste, same similar behavioral traits, and also a similar mindset, similar thought process. So on the social media, this is all what is happening. You can see it on the screen. So from profile hacking to romance, dating scam, information, then literally anything and everything is happening. A large number of you would have experienced something or the other. And as things go by, this will increase more and more. I think already out of every 10%, 6 or 7 or 8%, 6, 70, 80% people have either gone through some issue related to cyber crime, or at least their friend or relative or somebody has gone. So they have a very fair idea as to what it is, and when you land into this problem, what will happen to you. So all these things we are aware of. There's something called ransomware. So if you get right by the ransomware, the only way you can get out of it is paying that ransom, being kidnapped. So that is how the whole story works. So there are a number of crimes which happen because of social media. There are a number of crimes which happen because of social media. Phishing is one thing which happens to most of the people, and they're been sent such mails. So where you click and you finally you divulge all your information, or you get into a back door where your information slowly it keeps going by, and people who are very important and who can make a difference to that particular organization or provide you very information which is highly useful. So that goes on for phishing. Even bigger than that, you call as the whaling. So where one single target, so it might be the head of a state, it might be CEO of a company, it might be a huge company like there's a called not Petia or no Petia after WannaCry. So we had this ransomware attack. So they were able to get this Danish multinational called Merck. So that one single name, it increased their digital footprint, their influence, their capability as a malware across the face of this earth. Identity theft happens on a regular basis, and once you are caught, even creating a fake Facebook profile. So that is an identity. Somebody picks up a photo, creates a fake identity, and then starts dealing with you in a manner which is extremely detrimental to your existence, to your esteem, to your dignity, to literally anything and everything. And this is basically done primarily either to make money or put you into some problem. And porn turns out to be one of the major tools. Cyber stalking is happening all around the world. It is happening with people in schools and colleges, happening with business enterprises. So literally, this provides you a 24/7 platform to get stalked. Stalking has been a part of human existence by people, by business adversaries, by spies, by governments. But given the nature of the capability which has been provided to you right now through technology, stalking has become all pervasive. This can also be connected to your online presence. And there is something which we call as the open source intelligence, which can give you your complete online presence, and we will be able to make out as to where you actually stand, what is your thought process, who you interact with, why you interact, what are you looking for. And all these online presence and this open source intelligence is being used when you go for recruitment, when you are to be hired. So besides whatever you provide to them, they do the research. Or you go in for higher education. So when there is higher education show, they certainly check up as to where you come from, what you are, what capability you have to deliver. Cyber stalking, it is a type of cyber bullying, and this is going on. We'll not get into any further details. But suffice to say that cyber stalking, nearly 30% of cyber stalkers are females, and 30% of the cyber stalkers are unknown. 60% of the victims are female, and 40% of cyber stalkers are male. 40% of the victims are male. So this is the whole combination which basically gives you an idea that it is across board. And this whole research has been done on 6.6 million people that are stalked nearly every year in the United States of America. So I presume that this might not be a very different story in India. The only unfortunate part is that most of these things get unreported, and there is no research or survey or anything of that nature being done. So 53% of the stalking victims had prior relations with the harasser. Now this is very, very critical. This is very, very important. Even in the earlier cases, rape cases and all that. So nearly 82% were known people, or 91% were known people, and 82% of the incidents happened at places which was known to the victim. Now here the same story is being repeated in the digital world. So 53% of the stalking victims had prior relationship with that. So broadly, it's some love relationship, it might be some relationship related to money, it might be some business relationship, it might be a political relationship. But suffice to say that 53% of the people who are being victimized, they are known by the harasser, the victim knows the harasser knows the victim. So necessarily there is a motive, there is an intention. So as per the police understanding, without the motive and intention, these things don't happen. And when it is by a known person, primarily it is not a very simple motive of just teasing somebody or creating some nuisance. There are bigger motives which are behind that. So it is a mental assault. And mental assault, you can imagine that very word, it is so loaded. And it basically disrupts your life world. And it is intrusion into your basic existence and cannot be dealt lightly. And more so in a country where with this sort of a population and people being much more sentimental, emotive people, they can react in a manner which generally does not happen with the Western world. Harassment through electronic means, so this is cyberbullying, bullying all of us know. And so that bullying has translated into the cyber side. So physical, it's difficult. Cyberbullying becomes easier, but this is more potent. It strikes deeper into a person's psyche. It goes on the multimedia mode. It literally breaks you. And the other day, there's some school, they were basically discussing with me, and they said this couple of students are in the cyberbullying act, and when they were brought, so they told the concerned school authority that they have forgotten their password. All of them forgot the password at nearly the same time. And but for that particular password, they remembered all other passwords. So I told them, let's not get into all this cyber investigation. You just tell them that if you don't tell the password, so first we'll get your parents, we'll ask your passwords from them. Second, we will get a hacker and we'll get your passwords. And third, that we will get you, we'll throw you out of this school. And lo and behold, within 24 hours, all the password came. Everything was accessed into, and whatever information they required regarding this bullying case. So that came out in the open, and they were able to take this disciplinary action. Suffice to say that whenever you are handling your organizations or you are handling your children, you are handling an enterprise, unless you have these capabilities, it becomes next to impossible to even run your personal life. So bullying used to humiliate, threaten, oppress, whatever. So you know all these things. So it can be used for different things. What we are bothered and we are worried about that you provide lots of access out of your social media or the way you react, the way you respond on the social media. So they are able to access and they are able to create these issues. Not that it can be completely done away with, but with your diligence, certainly it can be brought down. And if you also know where to do, what to stall, what not to stall, how to react, how to be on the offensive, then there is a likelihood that in future that might not happen to you. So these victims, they go down on self-esteem and all these other things. And there are lots of cases where suicides have also happened. It has also led to emotional breakdown. So this is the problem. So it is not just a question of cyber safety. It's a question of your own existence. And more you get into the social media, more you are slack on cyber safety, more you are slack on safety. There is all the more reason that your life will become more and more difficult. So this is a very straight corollary. So if you want to keep your life at a very sensible level, then cyber safety, cyber security, you have to bother. There is no other way out. And blackmail of all varieties happen in the cyber. Even with the slightest bit of a chance, they will get into blackmail. And this is how you use your social media. And the way you use your social media will decide your fate. So there are three things. One is immigration. Your digital footprint has to be a positive digital footprint. It gives you a positive image about you. It is not a trash, it is not a dustbin, it is a can where everything can be thrown. You might not have faced any cyber insecurity issues, but your footprint on the digital media can create issues by which your entry into any country can be stopped, your recruitment to any good job or any business enterprise, and also your admission to any good institution can be stopped. You can decide for yourself whether it is of value, it is not of value. So cyber safety is only one part of the story. But if you understand the digital ecosystem, then you slowly understand cyber safety part of it. If you take everything in bits and parts, that I'll put a firewall, I'll do this, I'll put the router controls, and everything will happen. It is such a complex world that things are not going to happen unless you decide as to which way to live. Deciding your living posture will increase your cyber security stance. So there's some small bit about cyber ethics also. So I call it the morality of technology, cyber ethics. So all of us know about cyber ethics. We know about ethics, so we know about cyber ethics also, because we are replicating or transforming or translating some part of our physical world to the cyber world. Here, where more is to do with access, more is to do with hacking, more is to do with data. So that becomes a greater part of cyber ethics in a very similar manner. When we talk about medical ethics, I think the whole thing started from medical ethics. where the doctor was put at a higher pedestal, and he was supposed to live a life and conduct in the manner which is deemed suitable to a person who is a doctor. So he is at an elevated level. Unfortunately, that has not happened with the cyber arena, and they were never been elevated to that level that they're doing some humanitarian job. They should not do anything which is antithetical to human existence. So that has never transpired. The reality of it all is that cyber ethics does not exist in very plain and simple terms. So, say social media. Social media is either used for propaganda or it is used to extract data out of you. There is no other third purpose, and that data is being used for business purposes. And whatever propaganda, whatever this great WhatsApp university, whatever this great WhatsApp university, all of you people are aware of. So there's a very clear-cut propaganda, those that comes in, and we keep forwarding it. This is forwarding business also is a crazy business. So we might talk about somebody else not practicing cyber ethics. But when we get into this forward business, we don't know what is happening, and we are just churning out these things to gain some popularity amongst our close group. Then again, it is a similar story that you lack in cyber ethics. So this is the social media part. If you get into business enterprises, I give you the Google story. So your data is being used in whichever manner is used. You come to the government side, that is again the story of the same thing, and the intelligence and espionage and all that. So broadly, the user is a victim. Now you have to find ways and means to navigate your system where you become strong and robust, and that nobody can touch your security, or at least somebody tries to touch your security. You know that your security is being impounded upon, and you know ways and means to recover it back. So as we move further, coming towards the close of this lecture, so medical ethics to cyber ethics, medical ethics itself has deteriorated heavily over the period of time. Cyber ethics could never take roots. It's very difficult to say whether it will ever take roots. So that is, we are midst of a whirlpool, we are midst of a crisis, and that crisis can only be sorted out where individuals, families, communities, schools, colleges, enterprise, they decide that they need to change the whole stance. These are some 10 commandments of cyber ethics. So you can get into, and these are at a very high level, the commandments are there. How much of it can be used, not be used, being used, when it is being used, in which context, which scenario, which geography. So I'm not aware of, but a general feeling, and that is substantiated by lots of facts which are happening, say from US presidential elections to boys' locker room, to lots of critical infrastructure being manipulated and controlled. So this is the feeling we get that these things are not happening. So cyber ethics is basically that itself is at ransom. So finally, we come to the thought of the day. So all of us have a role to play. I've told you the whole story. I've tried myself to restrict more and more to the individual rather than to schools, colleges, enterprise. So that is another story. We will have it for some other day. So my focus has been the individual and how that individual can keep himself more cyber safe. So whether it's making of internet routing stronger, helping close the digital divide or shaping its future, we make an internet better place when we work together. So this is something which might have been created by just a small bunch of people, but cannot be sustained in a robust, ethical, safe, and secure manner if we, all of us, the users, we don't come together. And that is why even in the social media world, we are called as users. Users basically for drugs. It is all for wrong things. We are not called as customers. And anything which you get for free, the only thing which they take out of you is your freedom. So you're compensating for something free is your freedom, as they call in the American parlance. There is no free lunch. So let's get together to help build an open, globally connected, secure, and trustworthy internet for everyone, in the benefit of everyone, and for our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will share the participants. Many participants are raising queries. Since due to short time, we will mail you the participant queries to you. Thank you, sir, for taking your time to share your expertise with us.
Thank you.
Your presentation on technology.
Any questions, I'll answer.
Sir, I have one question.
Sir, there is a question from Dr. Jonas Richter.
This is on behalf of some of our students and some participants who have also texted about this pornography, sir. Knowing fully well this may lead to more cyber crime and issues. Why government has not banning it or taking a serious action on that?
See, anything banning over the internet, there are lots of activities with actions have been taken. But banning over the internet, it becomes next to impossible. Most of these things which work, they work outside of India. So internet primarily is a global arena, and you cannot ban it in one country or the other. We had this issue of banning when the Arab Spring took place in Egypt. That particular point in time, they banned the internet there. And through the analog system, they again reached to the same place. WikiLeaks was banned. When WikiLeaks was banned, 5,000 WikiLeaks came up. I think even in the Nirbhaya case time, there was a BBC documentary, if I'm not mistaken. So that was also banned by Government of India. But it came up in lots and lots of other ways. So end of the day, everything cannot be controlled by banning. And most of the things which have been banned, they are still running in a very robust manner. Even outside schools and colleges, are drugs banned or are they not banned? In 200 meters radius of your school, are drugs banned, not banned? How is it being sold? So there are two ways looking at things. We say in the government and the people. So generally we as citizens, we say, you ban this, the story is done. Make a policy, the story is done. All the countries in the world have a cyber security policy. They have a privacy policy. There is the general data protection rules, it is there. And all the companies have policy against pornography. Then how is it happening?
Okay.